One question I saw in my notes, something about the search for Attorney Johnson, the search of Attorney Johnson's laptop, and something that Defendant Williams had requested with regard to that. Can you, Mr. Steele, refresh my memory on what that was about?
Yes, can I have just 1 second?
Sure. Yes. Good morning.
Can I make a statement to the court without the prosecutors here and without the media, so it would be on a sealed record? And then if you believe it should not be sealed, obviously I will repeat it, or you can have Ms. Winfrey read it back. But I believe that in an abundance of caution.
Come on up.
Okay.
Mr. Steele, and that can be sealed to the extent this record ever goes anywhere. All right, I know that there are some things outstanding that concern Mr. Ryan, and there's been a request that that be handled tomorrow instead of today. that's fine. So I'll set that aside for now. I appreciate everybody submitting case law on the issue of whether the RICO conspiracy can be established based on an overt act that's not alleged in the indictment. Frankly, it's a lot of stuff to read, and since some of the submissions were late last night, or, basically all throughout the day yesterday, I have not read all of that, so we'll take that up at some other time, and that's really more of an end of trial issue for us anyway. Okay. I think we're ready to argue and consider the motion in limine. What was it, 62, I guess? All right.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes. Thanks.
Your Honor, I just handed this honorable court and the parties, although I ran out of copies, I just gave it to Mr. Matthews. The case I cited in motion limiting number 62, Ebersole, E-B-E-R-S-O-L-E versus State. It's 371 Georgia Appeal, 520. It's in Division 1C as in Colette. It's 901 Southeast 2D, 572, 2024 case. And Your Honor, what happened in our case previously, and I understand this honorable court was not with us, but the prosecution through ATF agent Racy was testifying. He was at one time with Cobb County Police Department, and he was the lead detective on a case against Mr. Jimmy Winfrey, and that is in Cobb County case number 15-9-2765. And he was asked by Prosecutor Hilton about a jail call. And the jail call had something to the effect of, when Mr. Winfrey comes home, he will be given a Porsche and $250,000. It was something to that effect. And Ms. Hilton then asked Detective Racy, within approximately a month from that time, that jail call that the jurors just heard, did in fact Mr. Winfrey enter guilty plea? I objected. That guilty plea was vacated and found to be coerced by the Georgia Supreme Court in Winfrey, W-I-N-F-R-E-Y versus State, 304 Georgia, 94, 816 Southeast 2D 613, 2018. And it says specifically in that case that that guilty plea is void, is null, and cannot be used for any purpose. We approached the predecessor judge, and he said he didn't know about that case. It's on the record. It was at the bench. And I said, well, here's the site. And he said, well, I'm not going to read it. And I said, well, I'm going to cross him on it, and I'm going to subpoena the lawyers, and I put them on my witness list who entered that plea. And I have a certified copy of the Supreme Court opinion vacating it, and the predecessor judge said I couldn't do any of that. Ms. Hilton then came back to the podium and asked Agent Racy the next series of questions. Well, was that plea, for whatever reason, vacated, and a short time later did Mr. Winfrey enter a guilty plea? I again objected. I was not allowed to go into it. The essence of this motion, number 62 of Mr. Williams, is I believe that that's already a constitutional violation. So it has to be harmless beyond a reasonable doubt. Because, no, it was, I can't cross on it. Mr. Matthews can't cross on it. We were all barred. And it came out that way that Mr. Winfrey pled guilty. And this dealt with the April 26, 2015 tour bus shooting of a gentleman named Dwayne Carter. He's a phenomenal artist, musical artist, known as Lil Wayne. So the state gets that in. Now, the predecessor judge did keep out the indictment on my objection, because the indictment names as co-conspirators, unindicted co-conspirators, Mr. Williams in that event, and it was a RICO count. The further objection was that Mr. Winfrey, he didn't really plead guilty. This is the most favorable Alford plea, and I attached it to Mr. Williams' number 62 that, that I have seen, where the predecessor judge specifically, excuse me, not the predecessor judge, Judge Staley, it's S-T-A-L-E-Y, and it's Staley Clark, C-L-A-R-K, Cobb County Superior Court. She specifically acknowledges that this is not a guilty plea. This is a best interest plea. He's not entering admission of guilt. The Honorable Steve Sadow, which is Steve, S-T-E-V-E, and Sadow is S-A-D-O-W, was the lawyer. He specifically said that we are doing this just because it's been 5 years and Mr. Winfrey wants to get out of custody. And I attached that, and I have a certified copy of that Alford plea. Anyway, the way it came in was so wrong, and we had cases that we were citing to the predecessor judge explaining that a person who's not testifying, the fact that they pled guilty, people plead guilty for any numerous reasons, should not be allowed to come in against Mr. Williams and the others here. So going forward, I put this on this court, honorable court's radar, because it is my belief and understanding, and if it's not going to happen, that's great, that Mr. Kendrick has pled guilty to being in a criminal street gang, specifically YSL, when he was with Mr. Martinez-Arnold. Martinez-Arnold is going to be a witness, but he did not plead guilty to that charge. And it's my understanding that the state intends to have an exhibit, a certified copy of the guilty plea of Mr. Kendrick. And that should not come in against Mr. Williams or any of the other people here for the same reason.
Let me stop and ask the state, is your position that it comes in against anybody other than Mr. Kendrick?
I don't believe that a certified copy of Kendrick's conviction would be admissible against another defendant besides Kendrick. And additionally, we intentionally did not tender the certified Virginia Winfrey.
For Mr. Winfrey.
Correct. The court did not preclude us. We did not tender it.
Right. Okay, so is it the state's position that not the certified copy of the conviction, but the fact of Mr. Kendrick pleading guilty to was gang activity and the gang being YSL? What's the state's position on that with regard to that information coming in on anybody else?
I think that his guilty plea, the fact of his guilty plea, is admissible against him, and I don't believe that it's admissible in normal cases against anyone else. In this circumstance, I also don't believe that it is At this time, I don't believe the cases that I've read suggest that it would not be admissible against another defendant. That's
All right. I mean, I think that's generally correct. So I know I think I've mentioned before needing a limiting instruction. And I know we're not quite at that stage yet, but I don't know when you intend to introduce that. And
not for the next 2 weeks, I believe.
okay, well, can you go ahead and be trying to put together whatever appropriate limiting instruction there would be? And then I would think that the position of both the defense and the state would be the same with regard to Mr. Ryan's murder jury verdict.
Right. Well, yeah, I know that the court, I know we addressed it.
All right, greetings. There's something going on. The YSL Rico Live trial just restarted just shortly ago. I'm gonna get it pulled up. I'm not sure what's going on. As soon as they started, Judge, what's her name? I put it in there. Judge Paige Reese Whitaker. As soon as they began trial this morning, she greeted everyone back because they were gone since last Thursday, I believe it was. There's a lot of issues, so she's reporting that. They are stating that they're, hold on a minute. I'll just re-add it now. They're stating that there's been threats made, death threats, threats of violence that occurred. So that goes along the lines of misconduct during the trial. So they're going to have to, basically, they're going to have to work out these kinks that are going on. So along with the trial, they're going to have to address the behavior that's been displayed. And we'll get right back into it now. At least I think. What is going on? Maybe if y'all hit the like button, subscribe some more too, maybe that would help. There's some weird stuff going on, man. But I appreciate y'all. I got over 200 subscribers just in the last couple of months, so I really appreciate that. This is Kai from Kai and Y007. Appreciate y'all. Just trying to get it pulled back up. I usually play the trial at times and then give some commentary. Look at the chat. I look forward to y'all possibly joining in on the conversation. That helps.
You know, to say that I somehow then introduced that concept, you know, I'm dealing with a fact that already came out
Had
before the
already
jury.
come out, right?
So I don't think that
Okay,
holds much weight.
yeah, but I would like for y'all to try to figure out a stipulation that will cover what the situation was, and then I'll give an instruction about that having ultimately been a best interest plea.
Okay.
Okay.
When I say okay, I still intend to call the witnesses, but I will follow your direction.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, if that's what's necessary, that's what's necessary, but I don't believe it should ultimately be necessary. I think there ought to be a stipulation that could be worked out. And if it's not a stipulation, then no, you can just propose what the stipulation would be and I'll take it from there maybe. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So. So on motion in limine 61, there was one part that was still outstanding, which was the issue of the text messages that are captured through the wiretap, and there's, I guess, a best evidence objection to that. So what's the state's intent on that?
With respect to the text messages in the wiretap are as they were sent through the carrier. So,
okay, and which carrier? Have we already had all of the various carriers come in and
I think it's
certify?
It's Verizon, and no one has talked about the wiretap evidence yet. That has not been broached yet.
Well, I'm broaching it now because it's in this motion in limine.
Through a witness in front of the jury. That's what I meant.
Okay, so those records, then we haven't had a business representative come in and
Correct.
say anything about those records, but are they going to ultimately?
We have a business record, I think.
Okay.
Just 1 second. What we have, we have the witness, the T3 custodian, the wiretap custodian, who will be addressing the content or the wiretap issues in the system and the way that the information is captured.
When you say, just for clarification, Your Honor, when you say the wiretap custodian, who are you referring to?
Who?
Mr. Scherer, S-H-E-R. S-C-H-E-R-E-R.
Okay. And okay, so he'll testify to how it gets captured, and is he going to be able to certify that it's accurate?
Yeah, I believe he will, just as much
Okay.
as it. Yes, I believe that will be satisfied with that witness. Additionally, when we are, I believe that I understood the question last week to deal with not the text message box per se, but the one up under it, which was the notes, I think. And I don't recall if that was something that I misunderstood, but there's a portion of that wiretap that has sort of an interpretation, the listener's interpretation of what was heard. That's not what we're trying to introduce. It's just the content of the actual text message box.
Okay. So is there anything else I need to entertain with regard to that?
I don't believe so, but I'll let counsel speak for themselves.
Defense counsel.
So, Your Honor, I spoke with the Honorable Mr. Atkins, and he was going to verify, but my belief, and I need verification, is that if I was being wiretapped and I'm sending the Honorable Carlton Matthews a text message, I'll meet you tomorrow at the Braves game, it is not collected the way I sent it. So it's somebody, the sworn person who is on the team who's allowed to be a listener or a reader of the contents of the wiretap would then read that, and they put in the line sheet, Brian Steele's text was to Carlton Matthews, I'll meet you at the Brave game tomorrow. If that's the way it is, I'm objecting, because then it's not the original. And then I want to know what you just said. If they can lay a foundation that they have the original text message, or Verizon, it was over my objection last time, but they kept it accurately in the course of business, I'll waive this objection, but I do need Ms.
Okay.
Atkins, who's been nothing but great always. He said that, unless he found it out now, he said that he would make sure which way it is. If it's an actual replica or if it's a human being.
Sure.
And that's
Yeah,
my
that
issue.
would definitely be kind of a different circumstance.
And we verified, Your Honor. So with the T3 system, Your Honor, the text message, there's two boxes. There's a text message box and a synopsis box. In the text message box, that is the text message that came in through the phone. Our understanding is while you're in the wire room, you can either accept or not accept it. So you can either accept it as it comes in or not accept it and it won't show up. But the person viewing the wiretap cannot manipulate the text message box. The other box, their own.
That's the notes.
That's
box.
the notes, and we're going to try to show you an example. We were trying to find an example with both, but we can share the screen.
Well, y'all don't, do I understand you to be saying that the state does not intend to even try to introduce anything from the notes synopsis section boxes?
Correct.
But only from the text message boxes, which are supposed to be a verbatim capture of the text?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
That foundation laid, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there was a kind of overlapping with regard to Summer Good, a motion in limine 63, and then a Stillwell motion that covered some of the same potential evidence. Are we ready to go through that? And it sounds like there's agreement as to some things, and some things need to be litigated.
Your Honor, I don't know if it needs to be litigated today. I think that it is, once Ms. Good takes the stand, if we lay the proper foundation, there'll either be a foundational objection or not. But we agree generally with both motions that anything that is speculation, anything that is hearsay, we do not intend to get in with Ms. Good.
Okay.
However, if there is, I think there might be disagreement on her knowledge of Mr. Williams, the state would intend to lay a foundation before we get into that question.
Okay.
But I don't think there's anything we can litigate until she takes the stand.
All right. And so this kind of summary sheet that's discussion on motion in limine 63, motion in limine re Summer Good, that's pretty much what we might be litigating, or what foundational issues there might be.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so we'll just come back to that. All right, and then we have a basically supplement, a motion and supplemental motion, joint motion to exclude evidence that y'all have also run down what you agree to and what you don't agree to the things that there is no agreement on right now, is that something we can litigate today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, let's turn to that then. And would it be helpful to access the Dropbox for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Link was sent October 8th at 11:36 by Mr. Adkins. Or y'all may have it before then as well.
Your Honor, just to be clear, when, for example, if that motion, paragraph 3 in that Dropbox link, they follow the same numbering. So the
Okay.
court, counsel should all be able to easily find what we're addressing because the
Okay.
numbering is identical to Mr. Steele's motion.
All right. Wow. I don't know where it is. I know I got it, but. All right, I guess we will, if everybody's got the link up, we can just start at the beginning with item number 1. All right, and what's the relevance purpose of image 623?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this image 623 is a gun that was found underneath a mattress when one of the co-conspirators, Antonio Sumlin, was arrested in the May or April of 2022, Your Honor. And we believe that this picture is relevant to show that this one of the YSL co-conspirators, the nature of this enterprise. One of the things that we allege in our preamble to the indictment is that YSL maintains armed individuals ready and willing to preserve, protect, and enhance the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise. And the fact that he had this gun in the bedroom that he was in underneath his bed, we believe is relevant to show that.
All right. And who's going to be arguing these for the defense? Sure, I mean, that's fine. All right, whoever is going to take this portion.
Your Honor, it was explained in our case law that our gang statute was modeled after our RICO statute. And I cite the case to the court, and I did not bring extra copies. I apologize. Alexander, Alexander versus State. It's 371 Georgia Appeal, 532. It's in Division 2, 901 Southeast 2D, 584, 2024 case. And what our second highest court explains is that it is essential that the state, I'm quoting, demonstrate that the commission of the predicate act was intended to further the interests of the gang. So this is a gang count, and the appellate court held that just doing some crime or having some gang paraphernalia, or in this case, a gun under the bed, that's not enough to say that this furthers the interests of the gang. There's no nexus. And here, the state has continually put into evidence people associating with other people. This is Mr. Sumlin, correct? Who I believe is going to testify.
Okay.
And just the fact that he has drugs or guns or slogans of violence, I'm not saying he does, but you have to show that somehow that gun or that act somehow affected, and there was a nexus to the trial that's going on. The state has other pictures of him with guns. So I also say it's cumulative and unnecessary evidence. But that's my argument.
All right.
Can we get that site again? Can we get that?
The site to Alexander.
Yeah, 871, 532.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, we don't have any other pictures of Mr. Sumlin with guns that we intend. Sorry, if you can hear me, I'm sorry. We don't have any other, and I'm just confirming, but I don't believe we have any other pictures of Mr. Sumlin with guns. This is the only picture we have, and that's because he was arrested with this. Again, the weapon was underneath his mattress when he was arrested.
All right. Well, I mean, it's ultimately a jury determination whether they believe that he had this gun to further gang purposes. But I think in terms of what needs to be shown for the state to secure its admission, that's been satisfied. So to the extent you do not have pictures of him with guns already, then I would admit it. But if you do, then I'm going to exclude it as cumulative.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and then subfolder 3, I guess.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and these are pictures of his various tattoos.
Yes, Your Honor, and we actually narrowed down the pictures. So the numbers that are listed, Your Honor, in our synopsis, those 10 pictures
Okay.
show specific tattoos on his person, which are different tattoos that we believe are relevant. So one tattoo has YSL, another tattoo has slime like with a snake. Another tattoo has the 5-point star. Another has the tattoo of a die or two
A what?
dice with
Okay.
5. Put up the black dots. And let's see. So
So that's 5. What are the other 5?
other tattoos. So one has the number 5 with a fire. Again, we believe that 5 signifies blood. That that he's a member of the Bloods.
Okay, so why don't you pick one of the 5 tattoos and whichever one of those. So dice, fire, plain 5, y'all pick one.
But they're all different symbols.
I know, I understand.
Okay, so you want for the representation of 5, you want to pick one thing that represents 5.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. The other ones have Macon and Cleveland, which is him talking about Cleveland Avenue, or Cleveland Avenue being Cleveland. So that's not included in the 5 that you're.
Tell me what tattoo that is. Which image is that? So how about the overall one? Do you need that if you're going to be zooming in on?
The overall, so you can see that it's him in the picture. So that's why we had the overall one.
Okay.
And that picture is taken further away, so you can't.
Okay, well then, do you need the next one then?
So the next one after 641 is 642, where you can, and let me make sure, because it's 642 where you can see the YSL more prominent.
Mm-hmm.
Then it moves to 643, which he has Haiti Baby, so you can see that more prominent.
Mm-hmm.
Then we skip to 648, which is 2 5-point stars in the lower part of his stomach. Then 649 is the 5 with the fire. 652 is the B, which we believe symbolizes blood as well. The B is underneath the beehive,
Mm-hmm.
on top of the paw. 654 are additional 5-point stars, specifically 5-point stars. 655, it says Macon and Cleveland. 659 is the one with the dice. 665 is limine with the snake. And then that's all. And originally there were 24 photos, so we narrowed it down from the 24 to the 10.
So it seems to me that if you have in number 1 to show it's him, and then number 2, you can see a whole lot of the Haiti Baby and the YSL and all kind of other things just by zooming in on that one.
But in that, Your Honor, when the jurors have, they won't be able to zoom in on it. They'll be able to see what's in front of them once it's admitted. Yes, we can zoom in on the camera.
So you're gonna, all right. And who's gonna testify to this?
He's coming.
He's gonna be like, yeah, these are my tattoos, and here's what they mean.
I don't know.
Or just, yeah, these are my tattoos.
We have tattoos, and he'll give his version, but we also have a gang expert who are familiar with these tattoos as well.
Okay, well. Just pick one rendition of the 5s and use that You don't need all three of them. All right. Going on to the next folder, there's a 911 call. Okay, what's that?
So, Your Honor, there's a single 911 call and a CAD report. There was a shooting the night before at Waters Road, and the caller notices that her vehicle window is shot out the day that she's making this call.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a brief 911 call where she's calling to let them know that her car window has been shot out. She doesn't know who shot her car window out, but she's calling the police when she walks outside and notices her vehicle in her driveway with the window shot out from a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And so the objection was confrontation clause and hearsay because it's not an ongoing emergency. The state's position is it's not a confrontation clause issue because it's not making this phone call for purposes of future prosecution. She doesn't even know who did it or give her thoughts of who might have done it. And in terms of hearsay, although the shooting itself happens prior to her walking out and seeing her window, the state feels that on there's two reasons of a hearsay exception. One being a present sense impression in terms of she walks outside, notices her car window is shattered from a bullet, and she calls 911. And two, in her mind, even though her demeanor on the call, which is not dispositive of if it's an excited utterance or not, but seeing your car window shot out is to me something that would reasonably generate some level of excitement in a reasonable person. And so she's very calm on the call in terms of her voice, but the state feels that either a present sense impression and or an excited utterance for calling the police satisfies the hearsay exception. And that's the state's position in terms of the 911 audio, Your Honor.
Okay, and then is the Waters Road shooting, there's other evidence of that, right?
So, Your Honor, there's multiple shootings at that address.
Okay, the Waters Road shooting from March 12th, 2022.
Yes, Your Honor. And so this 911 call and her CAD report, when she calls to report her window being shot, is the court asking if we're going to call the responding officer who went to examine her car or?
No, I mean, the evidence is in or is going to be in that there was a shooting at Waters Road on March 12th, 2023. I guess I'm wondering, because of the length of this trial already, and it's apparent, I mean, we're going to have to talk about how much longer y'all think this is going to take. But what does it add, I guess, that somebody else's window got shot out?
So, Your Honor, this is all intimately wrapped into the Chanel Drinks murder, where Mr. Ford and Mr. McMiller are murdered by who YSL believes is YFN members, IF gang members, the same group in 2022 that's tethered to Donovan Thomas's group in 2015 in the murder we're on currently. And what the wiretaps we played earlier, where there was conversation, and by earlier I mean a couple weeks ago, where there was guns in the attic, when they're all hiding and they're running outside, and we played that is Waters Road. So there's a number of shootings that we believe was from YFN at YSL. And so this 911 call is a innocent victim of that in terms of not the intended target whose window is shot out and calls police. And her, I believe, either boyfriend or husband, Mr. Whetstone, is going to be a witness we will be calling. So the state wanted this chronological or timeline is important. It's a brief 911 call, and there's obviously an accompanying CAD report. So the state feels that it's relevant for the jury because they need to understand the sequence of events in terms of the back and forth shooting and what transpires.
Okay, but do they need to know that somebody who had their car parked on the street or wherever it was parked, a stray bullet hit them.
It's right.
It hit their car, not them, their car.
So, Your Honor, in terms of the relevancy and the low legal standard of it,
I'm not saying it's not relevant. Do you need it?
the state believes we do, and it's,
Okay, y'all are gonna have to start picking some stuff that you just, I mean, this case can't go on forever. It feels like it's going on forever.
Uh-oh, y'all.
There's gotta be something that y'all can say, you know what? I think we ought to be able to prove our case without that. And this kind of
Judge
seems like
Whitaker
one of
has
those
had
things.
enough
And I know that
early.
there's not, there may or may not, well,
She
I
wants
think
to get
there's
this
just kind
case
of a
going.
standing
He hasn't been playing around.
cumulative, waste of time objection by the defense. But I, as the court, trying to the extent possible, manage this litigation, am raising that sua sponte to the extent that there's not a defense objection. Is this something that, I mean, even whomever, the boyfriend or the husband coming in to testify to it, I mean, if you are establishing the Waters Road shooting anyway, which you are,
yes, Your Honor.
it just doesn't seem like this is really necessary.
Your Honor, I understand I'm struggling for a response because in terms of it's difficult for me to say what is necessary versus, what is relevant and admissible in terms of, and useful for the jury in making their decision. What is necessary in a case is a hard question to answer.
I know.
And so the state Ms. Latner's is testifying when this comes up. Ms. Latner's will be addressing a number of 911 calls and CAD reports that all tethered and are connected with this timeline of events. And so the state felt that in terms of brevity or this short 911 call and CAD report anchors the timeline for the jury and is helpful. The state's not intending on calling the officer who responded to check her window.
Good. Okay.
And so the state felt that this was I believe Ms. Latner's could testify about these two items in probably under 5 minutes.
She probably can, but 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there and 10 minutes the other place. If she's already going to be testifying to 911 calls that came in closer to time, is she going to be doing that?
She's going to be handling a number of 911 calls and CADs, Your Honor, that tether both the Shamel Drinks murder, the murder of Mr. Ford and Mr. McMiller, and the multiple shootings at Waters Road, one of which this is a 911 call in response.
So is there going to be other evidence that either has come in or will come in that this shooting at Waters Road occurred on March 12th of 2022?
One brief moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, currently, because the state intended to play this CAD and 911 call, we are not calling other witnesses to discuss this specific day.
Which is the day after.
March 12th, correct, Your Honor. So currently, in terms of the state's witness list and what the state intended to introduce, this 911 and CAD.
This is the way y'all are introducing that the shooting occurred at Waters Road on March 12th?
There's two different shootings.
And there's two different shootings, Your Honor, but in terms of her
When's
car
the
window
other
being
shooting?
shot out, March 16th.
Okay, so let's not worry about that one. March 12th. This is the only way that y'all are establishing a shooting at Waters Road on March 12th, yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor. The state can call other witnesses or evidence about that shooting, but we intended to call and introduce this CAD report 911 currently.
I understand that y'all want to. Was that the only evidence that y'all were going to put up that this occurred on March 12th? Was this 911 call and boyfriend or husband and the discovery that on March 13th, this window was shot out? That's how y'all are going to establish a shooting on March 12th?
In order to cut down witnesses, Your Honor, I mean, we have other witnesses. I mean, we could call Ms. Zachary, we could call the responding officer, but
Miss Zachary is Zachary's mom or grandmother.
we get the complaint that we need to shorten the case.
Mother.
So what we're trying to do is there's a 911 call. There's two 911 calls. There's a 911 call from March 12th.
Okay, are you planning to introduce that?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
day before.
Okay,
Then-
but after the shooting occurs, correct?
The 911 calls as the shooting occurs, the woman is in her house and she said, they're shooting down my street.
Okay,
Yes.
so why isn't that enough?
Because this was the further evidence of that. So that's why we're playing the two 911 calls, because the March 12th call, right? There shows that she called. The first caller never went outside. All she says is there's shots fired on March 13th.
All right, I want to take a minute and break some of this down real quick. All right, so what's going on is Judge Whitaker, from day one, she wants to cut down on all of this that's been going on. There's been a lot. The prosecution, which one of them is speaking right now, she and Ms. Love, they have over 100 more witnesses. So the judge is like, let's narrow this down. She feels the prosecution is nitpicking too much and they have to move on. Her and Ms. Love, the judge and Ms. Love got into a heated exchange last week. So now you'll hear them at it again, basically.
We have got to figure out some things that we can do without in this case, and this is one of them. And not because it's hearsay or confrontation clause. Just because it's just too much. Waste of time. Okay, let's move on to the next.
Your
one.
Honor.
Yes.
May I just ask for clarification? Does that also apply to Frederick? I believe it's Frederick Whetstone, the boyfriend that lives there?
Yes, he
Okay.
doesn't need to testify either.
Okay, thank you.
If we have established the shooting occurred, we don't need more people establishing that the next day they discovered that the shooting occurred.
Ms. Love asked
All
to
right, let's
speak.
move on
Judge
to the
said
next.
no.
Your Honor, may I have
Yes.
It's
some
getting crazy,
clarification?
man.
Just the court is excluding the 911 call. What is it that the court is excluding?
Yes, that 911 call from whomever the next day that she discovered that there was a bullet to her car.
Okay.
And whoever that is, the boyfriend or the husband who was going to come and say, yeah, there was a bullet to the car.
Okay, he wasn't only going to testify to that. And I
What
know
else
that
was he going to testify to?
this is a person, she and he, who have been living next to this particular location for some months at least.
Okay.
They see who comes and goes, and they see what cars, what vehicles come up to the location.
Okay.
They see the nature of the interaction
Okay.
of people with the location. And as far as that particular night goes, as Ms. Hilton said, she heard what she thought was gunfire. And we are, of course, adhering to the court's ruling regarding the 911 call, but she heard what she thought was gunfire. She saw evidence of it. They saw evidence of it the next morning. But
Okay, but
That's
he's
an-
not going to testify that she, the girlfriend, heard gunfire.
no,
Okay.
he's not to test. No, no. Mm-mm.
So whomever this person is, the boyfriend or husband is going to come say, here are the comings and goings that I noticed over the course of the last few months, including the night of this shooting. Here's who I saw, or here's what cars or whatever.
Right.
Okay, that's
This is
fine.
This is what we anticipate from that particular witness. The female, the young woman that Ms. Hilton mentioned earlier, she, in addition to showing us, or in addition to having that bullet hole in her car, she has met with us and shown us the bullet holes in her house. We don't have those photographs. I'm just telling the court what,
Was she going to testify also?
we took her name off the list.
Okay. All right.
In an effort for brevity's sake, but I'm just letting the court know that these people who live next door to that location had more to talk about than just a bullet.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine.
Well, Your Honor, in response to that, and I'm going off memory, the recorded statement that is really the only record we have of what Mr. Whetstone would be adding. I believe
What's the name of this guy?
I believe I'm being accurate with Mr. Whetstone, but
Wesley?
Whetstone.
Whetstone, okay.
And the issue I have is, and just to be clear, Mr. Whetstone, as I understand it, is not testifying, oh, I saw a Audi with this tag number. I know, I'm just using Shannon as an example. I know Shannon and I see him going in there.
Mhm.
The interview he gave to the police, it was much more like, man, there's all sorts of stuff going on at that house and it's ruining our neighborhood type generalized speak. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate to just paint in a broad brush with testimony. And so I disagree with the state when they assert that this gentleman would be adding a lot more about what's going on with the house. It was just kind of a complaint that we all have with different people in our neighborhoods complaining about the residents of a certain house
Okay.
in the neighborhood.
All right.
Your Honor, it's not that broad, and we did provide contact information. It's not that general as it was placed before the court. We've provided contact information for anyone to speak to this
Okay.
person. So it's more detailed than what he
Okay,
provided.
so is it going to be something that tends to establish that the comings and goings were by a particular gang or group of people?
A particular group of people, and again, the nature, the type of traffic, if you will,
Meaning,
at the house.
meaning what?
He will not be saying, oh, there's drug dealing going on at the house, but just the frequency of different visitors to the house, the vehicles he observed at the house,
And the vehicles are going to be tied to,
what YSL members, one in particular belongs to Mr. Williams, for instance. For instance, I'll leave it there.
okay. Well, if he is going to be able to testify to seeing particular vehicles with, whatever frequency he's going to testify to, and there's something that ties those vehicles to these defendants or other YSL members, then that seems irrelevant. So.
Thank you, Your Honor. And yes, it was the Waters Road, obviously, the court has heard us say before, is a YSL spot.
Right.
And the shootings and the activity at the house.
Right. Okay. All right. All right, so the next thing that we need to look at is in item 4B, I guess.
Yes.
And this is It's our same Mr. Sumlin. Okay, and the objection is? What? Anybody want to argue this one?
I do, I'm just trying to find. I lost my spot.
Okay. So it's a picture of Mr. Sumlin, and then there's a post chasing that money, but my past chasing me. And I guess the objection to that is, and that's the purpose for which this is introduced, is for the language of the post.
That's part of it, no.
Well, what's the other part?
It's number 126 on our indictment.
Overt act number 126.
And Judge, I'll just, while the court is looking at the indictment, where he is displaying prominently that center tattoo on his person of YSL, obviously, along with all the others, and making that post. The fact of the posing on social media with the gang name in the middle and slime for life on his arm, and asserting publicly chasing that money, but his past chasing him, we would argue reflects at least part of what we are alleging that the gang has done or does in furtherance of the enterprise itself, obtaining money and property through a pattern of racketeering activity, him chasing that money, but his past chasing me, we would argue suggests that he has done things that were not legal. And this is an argument, this is one obviously that could be made at the end. The jury could infer from what they are seeing many things, but particularly we posted or we named this as an overt act, number 126.
Okay, and that was posing for the photo that he put on his account displaying gang tattoos, not the post, not the language. What you put in the indictment is
the description of it. Yeah, the description of what happened. He
did
posed.
post for a photo released on someone's Instagram account displaying gang tattoos with YSL on his chest and slime for life on his right arm, an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy.
Right,
Okay.
and the language, the language further shows how he is furthering the conspiracy.
How
by
is
saying,
that furthering the conspiracy?
chasing that money, but his past chasing him suggests that he not only does things or has done things that perhaps in chasing that money that are not legal, he is continuing to chase that money in ways that are not legal.
What suggests that he is doing anything illegal by chasing that money?
Your
Isn't
Honor,
that what pretty much all of us who aren't independently wealthy have to do every day of our lives?
Your Honor, I'm not saying that it is with certainty that this is what he is saying. What I'm saying is that it is evidence that tends to, or that has a tendency to make a portion of our assertions or our allegations in the indictment true to the extent that it is relevant that he made or said that, made that statement on that posting. He is representing YSL. He is.
I mean, obviously, it's all over his body, but how is the post, the language representing YSL?
The language, it's as if he said, I stay ready, or
It really doesn't seem to say that.
I didn't say
You
he-
can put that post in the picture without the language. Okay, what's next? File 5.
All right, so they're still getting stuff together. This is kind of redundant. They're
There's
just
another
repeating themselves. The judge is giving pushback against prosecution team.
And this is also an overt act alleged.
I
Is
may
that right?
leave this trial on. I'm ready to kind of end it. Y'all being
is.
so quiet. Y'all gotta have some kind of thoughts to share.
Pose for a photo with the
This trial's been going on for
caption,
2 years. The judge don't want it to go on for 2 more.
All right. And what's the objection?
Most recently, there's an affiliate, Mr. Ryan. He allegedly, well, the judge said he got into a fight.
What's the
was
objection,
A
y'all?
YSL member that was targeted, and from my understanding,
Honor,
Mr. Ryan is given orders to
speaking on
attack
behalf of Ms.
others
Stillwell,
and
our
protect
objection
YSL members in
is
jail.
any of these comments on the right that
Past the suit up and lace up your boots one, the ones below that, or including?
Thank you for
including
answering the poll question. Should
Okay.
this be a
Given that
mistrial?
that is what
With
they
all this
allege to
chaos
be an
going on in
overt act in
misconduct,
furtherance of
I
the
appreciate your
conspiracy.
votes, the likes and
I
subscribe and
think that one is
participation.
going to come in.
Thank you. Oh, I'm Kai from Kai and Y007.
Does the state need the comments below that?
Mr. Stillwell, the OG bull with Shannon Stillwell and one Obama.
Okay. Okay. Who is that?
Antonio Sumlin.
Okay.
is who?
Antonio Sumlin.
Is who?
One Obama is.
Right. So, and maybe I'm missing the bigger picture here. Who is Slime Bing Bing?
Your Honor, a person who is an associate of Shannon Stillwell and Antonio Sumlin, whose statement that suit up and lace up your boots is wartime was adopted and commented on favorably by Mr. Stillwell and Mr. Sumlin. Mr. Stillwell in posting, and Mr. Stillwell is reflected and tagged in it, and is posting the green heart emoji and the green snake emoji in response to it,
That's not accurate. That's not accurate. There's someone that we don't know who it is, and that's why I was confused, Your Honor, when you asked about after it's lace up your boots, it's wartime. Someone we don't know who it is. We're suggesting that he's an associate. I don't know how we're making those assumptions or suggestions if we don't even know who he is. And then we have who said to be my client doing a green heart and a whatever that is. I think it's
I don't know what that is.
a whatever it is. It's some sort of amphibious creature. It appears.
This Halloween scene up there in the
anyways,
background. Cemetery,
That-
death, murders.
Y'all,
That's a reaction to the
Yeah.
photo. I don't know where the state's asserting that this is some sort of adoption of someone else's comment. My client's in a photo, and he's not replying to the comment. You can reply to a comment if you want on these social media posts. He's just replying to a photo that he's tagged in. So I don't know under what theory of law, respectfully, with the confrontation clause in place and hearsay rules in place, that we would just allow Slime Bing Bing his out of court statements just in.
Your Honor,
And the fact that the state alleges it in the indictment does not move me in the least. I mean, we had no part in drafting this indictment, obviously, but just because the state alleges something in an indictment doesn't suspend the
I
rules
just
of
meant
evidence.
this would be the evidence by which they would establish that.
Well, I understand that, but it's still the rules of evidence, and I know you know this, Your Honor, but the rules of evidence still apply, even if they've asserted that.
For the record, Your Honor, the image on Slime Bing Bing appears to be a female.
They can't hear you. Well, I mean, the picture is,
Yeah.
who knows whether,
Right. Who knows anything about?
I mean, honestly, y'all, if this were, it looks like these people are cleaning up a playground. I'd be like, yeah, if I were the defense, yeah, let's talk about this. Look at these bad guys. But hey, that's what the state wants in for whatever reason. I don't know how I don't know how anybody would find this to be an act in furtherance of gang activity, but
Yeah.
Well, that's why
they could argue that, I guess.
well, that's why I'm concerned with this. I agree with you. I don't necessarily have a problem with the picture. It's the caption by Slime Bing Bing that casts this in a different light, and I don't believe. Well, first of all, we don't know his government name, and I have no reason to believe that person is testifying.
I don't think they know who it is either.
Your Honor,
Yes.
there's a extremely popular song by artist Lil Wayne, Grew, G-R-E-W, up, a screw up, and specifically it states, suit up and lace your boots up, it's wartime. So, this happens a lot in our case, but a lot of people just cite lyrics. And for that reason also, I mean, yes, we can cross on it, but it's just the same pattern. It doesn't show we are now going to war, so we'd ask for it to be excluded.
Your Honor, with respect to, I think that the court had it exactly right, except the court's comment on the significance of it. But this is something that we've alleged. This is the evidence of what we've alleged. And we'd ask to be able to show the evidence that the state believes proves its case.
Okay, well, I'm going to permit it, and then y'all can all have a fun time arguing it, because... Okay, let's move on to the next one. So this is in folder 6, item B, I guess. Screen grab of the first few seconds of the video.
Yes, Your Honor. So, there's a video that the state and the defense, we agreed If the video is played on a loop 3 times, we're only gonna play the first time that the video was played. However, early in the video, Mr. Williams is seen throwing up the YSL sign, but it's very quick. And
Okay.
so 73-E55, just a screen grab of that initial portion, similar to what we've done with the surveillance videos that we entered. We might have the video, but we capture a screenshot of a particular portion.
And it's not shown, I mean, it's shown in the first thing, right?
Yes, that's just very quick.
So if I watch what's in the one before that,
And we can share it on our website. What we just want to tell you later on.
And what's the objection?
Your Honor, there are so many videos that have come into evidence and are coming into evidence of Mr. Williams holding his hands.
Cumulative?
Yes. And then it's cumulative on
the
top of
video.
cumulative. Yes.
Yes, sustained. You can
This is
see
the
it
one where he
just as
says murder
easily.
game bitch. This is different.
This is different. He says murder game bitch, and he's also with Obama, another associate. We don't have, well, let me say this.
Okay, so the screen grab is excluded is cumulative.
But we didn't introduce the first 15.
Yes.
I couldn't hear, but I think the state agreed because it's on a loop, so it just plays
The
it's a very
first
short.
is what it says.
So it's just
yeah.
one time is what I.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so then we can move down, I believe, all the way to folder 15. Whose autopsy?
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Steele earlier. We just need to confirm with Dr. Sim Stanley regarding the autopsy photos, and making sure that we selected the ones that she will need in order to explain Mr. Drink's injury. So we can just hold, I hope to meet with her the end of this week so that we can select those photos, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's fine. The autopsy report, what's our issue with that?
Your Honor,
Sorry, we can't hear you, Ms. Hilton.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my general practice with the ME is to introduce her report at the conclusion as a part of the record. It does not go back to the jury.
Okay.
However, I believe defense counsel will object to that.
All right, self-made. Young thug teacher and future. All right, so we're gonna close on out. Again, my name is Kai. This is Kai Y007. Appreciate the patience. That's what makes me stay on longer. I could just watch it and not say nothing where else, to be honest. But appreciate y'all coming through. Please, when you come through, participate. Consider hitting the like button. Consider subscribing. It is what it is, but I'm gonna go on and do some other things. I could be doing some other stuff. So participation is the best way you can support the channel. Cash App is KIYNY007 if you're interested in donating, or PayPal, which is KIYNY00. Where is it? Oh, right here. So I was asked and someone sent me something, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, just participate sometime. Thanks for voting. So it looks like most of y'all said mistrial. Wow, it's loud. It's not even up that loud. All right, so got some votes. The question was, there's more chaos and corruption. Should YSL RICO be a mistrial? Most of you said yes. 67% of y'all said yes, there should be a mistrial. Only 33% said no mistrial. We might have a mistrial on our hands, y'all. It's very, very possible. Oh, I had this on still too. All right. So yeah, so that's that. And yeah, close on out. Appreciate y'all and see y'all another time to participate, or it's really the point during the live stream. At least I'm watching. I do commentary in between. I have good content here. I talk about astrology and astronomy. That falls into astrals. I talk about intimacy, certain things to do with relations with people. Also, energy, the spirit inside of us. I talk about the community, things to do with more Native people. All right, I'm out. Peace. Y'all take care. Have a good one.
Wait, crime, pay, pull up, wait, slack, 20 cars, matte, black, surfing at a risk that on, pull up, wait, life straight, pull up, wait, ice skate, pull up, wait, crime, pay, pull up, wait, slack, 20 cars, matte, black, surfing at a risk cars, 10 to pink toes. I said, got a black piece, flip it to the dog like a dish. Accept the loss before I quit. She flip at the house, I bought her a piece. What's up, mate? Got cake, mate. Got cheese, mate. Got bread, mate. Got cups, mate. Ooh, no fucks, mate. Give no fucks, mate. Mate, up, mate. Out of shape. It's up, mate. I bust, mate. I bleed, mate. He bleed, mate. Got cups, mate. No fucks, mate. Let's fuck, mate. Fuck my clan, mate. Shit, let's splash, mate. Fuck that shit, let's splash, hey. Fight online, we don't fuck around, y'all. Valentine and shit, yeah. We prepare fish, me and caliber. Trench cold on a nigga sleep. Wipe the stars. Wipe the stars. Wipe the stars. Wipe the stars. I get up. Wipe the stars. I get up. Wipe the stars. I get up. I get up. Double the cuss, you double the love, and I double it up. Jump in the business, jump in the truck, and I truck in the truck. Checking it down, and swirling the pound, fucking it around. Fucking online, we don't fuck around, y'all. What's up, mate? Got the blicky featherweight. Got the cash, I bake the cake. Ooh, ain't what's bracket, mate. Ooh, I just sniper, mate. Ooh, chain on hydrate, mate. Get no sleep, mate. Keep, mate. Push your weight out of shape. Red wings, red bottoms, I'm a fucking devil. 20s, tennis chains on, not no Rick middle. I done gotta run it back, you heard what gonna tell him. Put my diamonds in a bowl that look like fruity pebbles. Bitch wanna hit her, bitch wanna suck on it deep. Bitch wanna get her a brick. Bitch wanna fuck on the bitch. Bitch wanna fuck on the clip. Euros on euros, I'm getting it. Slap on the floor now, I'm lit. White bitch nose, white boy nose. Kick a dog, keep the road. Put the pole in this hole, bend her over. In your body, picture, bring the Range Rover. I so high, all I can say is woo, woo, woo. I can't talk, I barely could say woo, woo. Counting the M and counting another one. Woo, woo, woo. For this shit, I am in a lot of woo, woo. Counting hell, then another. Woo, woo. They can never be a facade, brother. Woo, woo. Go to the sky with my mom, brothers. Woo, woo. They let it hit from the side with all cutters. Woo, woo. Okay, fuck it good, make it try. Woo, woo. Okay, my plug put me on, I call him Lou, Lou. Hood nigga paid in full. I'm a
diamonds in a bowl that look like fruity pebbles.
bitch wanna hit her lip. Bitch wanna suck on it deep. Bitch wanna get her a brick. Bitch wanna fuck on the bitch. Bitch wanna fuck on the clip. Euros on euros, I'm getting slap on the floor now.
Wipe his nose, wipe her nose, kick her nose, keep the road. Put the pole in his hole, bend her over. Then your body, bitch, and bring a Range Rover.
I so high, all I can say is woo, woo. I can't talk, I barely could say woo, woo. Counting the M and counting another one. Woo, woo. For this shit, I am in love. Woo, woo.
Count a hell, then another.
Woo, woo.
I can never be a facade, brother.
Woo, woo.
Go to the sky with my mom, brothers.
Oh, and I'll be back. Most likely, I'll still be doing my live stream tonight. If you want to see some things, some footage and some conversation on Cassie and Diddy. Thanks, peace.
Nigga paid in full, I'm a black Jew. What's popular? I come from the tricks, we pray for a brick. What's popular? Bitches, what new accent. Pain pills, codeine, hydro acid. I hang with some slimes, pulling kiddos. Chaviche, Gucci, Saki on my feet. Slap the top and keep it neat. 1, 2, 3, I got freaks. Bourbons on flicky. Bad as a ditty. That's in her titties. That's Team Liddy. On my Spanish team, she bad like J-Lo. I crushed up an X-Bill in her asshole. 50 round clip, got my Draco. I should teach drug classes. I say on my grandma's yellow 10 toes. Money on my mind, I'm a nympho. That's in her titties. That's Team Liddy. That's in her titties. That's Team Liddy.